Alright, I'm going to make a very bold, hot take about Coronation Street, so you may keep tuned, because I'm going to say something quite bold about this new era of Coronation Street. Let me tell you something. I think that Kate Brooks' new era is actually starting to cook. I think it's actually starting to show. I think we've gotten a recent influx of new characters. I genuinely think we are starting to get to the place where we want to be, where Kate Brooks is gradually weaning out the pieces that are going to go, and the characters who probably are going to be at the forefront of this new era, they're all starting to get more attention, as some of the other characters are starting to generally get a little bit phased out. But fundamentally, I do genuinely believe it is getting better, which is a hot take. It is a hot take that Coronation Street isn't terrible right now, and I 100% believe that, and I do think it's going a very interesting place. So, yeah, I'll talk about this more in this video, but I'll just give a bit more preamble before this. Obviously, this last year or so, I've had a much bigger focus on covering Coronation Street in particular. I stopped doing the Rovers recap because I couldn't be bothered. Typically, the way I enjoy soaps, typically there's one big thing that overrules everything else in the week. And beyond that, I kind of struggle to get through all of it. I don't really want to recap it all because, other people will recap the show better than I will. And other people aren't watching all the shows. So I don't blame them. I will, at some point, I genuinely think I will start trying to do Emmerdale. Just not for a while because I'm struggling to juggle everything I'm currently doing in the first place. So I'll just make that clear. I'm pretty sure Gavin and Michael have both been pretty vocal saying Emmerdale's doing really good stuff right now. You should watch it. I keep going, yeah, I should. But also, I have to watch Jack P. Shepherd dance around on Big Brother. Absolute king stuff. Absolute king. S-H-I-T. But yeah, it's I think because as of late, okay, well, I distracted myself. So yeah, and Kate Brooks is obviously dealing with a lot of upheaval. A lot of characters decided to leave last year, which meant that this year, a lot of the actors who proceeded to leave in the previous era of the show are now gone or going. So you have to then write out these characters and spend the time giving them a worthy exit, worthy of the stature and character that they've displayed. Some like Yasmin, where they just go, I'm leaving, see ya, bye-bye. Or like Max, who got a big, questionable, long-winded exit that tied into a Platt family fire. Hypothetically speaking, of course, YouTube. And you have been having to steer the ship in very muddy, murky, unclear waters away from a lot of controversy, especially while ITV is reshaping things and trying to free up cash in other areas. It's not but an easy job for Kate Brooks to do. And you can generally start to see how everything is shaping up. Todd has been given a massive boost in this recent time because of the absolutely stunning man, the absolute hunk of a man you call Theo, which has been a fun, honestly, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed this storyline so far because you take a tired trope of having a Todd falling for a man who is very much closeted. Now, yes, this isn't Soap's first rodeo. This isn't the first closeted gay man who has ever existed because it's Soap, and they love to have the shame. The shame of coming out and wondering how everybody's going to feel, and then the final realization that fundamentally all the people who care probably are just going to accept you regardless. It's an important thing. But this is different, as Theo is like this, he's like a man's man, hunky builder who's ripped. To blush about this. And he had a little shock where he's like, oh, I'm not interested. And he sent him like a full body. Whoa. Sent him a full body. Jesus. Todd couldn't believe he's like the cat who's got the cream. And the problem, though, he's married. And there's 2 kids, I think, roughly. I don't remember entirely. Could be more, could be less. And so now they start sleeping around and sleeping together. And this in turn gets Sarah involved. And finally, the writers have remembered that Sarah and Todd have this really nice, genuine history that has been established for the last 20 years. You know, they are best of mates. They, you know, Sarah was the only woman that Todd has ever loved. And it's so good when they draw back on this history because they are two really good characters in the show. And, like, you know, even say some people, I doubt many people have actually kind of believed. I don't feel like new Todd has had that many bad things. He has just become the default Todd. He has done a pretty good job with anything he's done. He was a bit under the radar for a while, but fundamentally he has generally slotted in and became a pretty solid Todd Grimshaw. And then you have the fun little thing where Todd meets with his wife, who's played by, I don't remember her name, but she played Alicia Gallagher on Emmerdale, and was Freya's mum, Lexi Calder, in Hollyoaks. Like, you know, soap. She's maybe not soap royalty, but she's established. She is long established character. And their kids, and she's there because the mum has passed away, and they're doing the funeral. And now Theo is very sure that he is just a gay man, but he's lived like a 20-year-long marriage. And this involves with Todd having Sarah as her beard as such. She is, you know, and during a date, Todd kisses Sarah in front of Kit, who Sarah has recently started seeing, which also another interesting little thing in its own right. I kind of the Kit and Sarah thing kind of came out of nowhere, but I kind of fuck with it, honestly. Why not? Be nice to see a different side to Kit. And so yeah, now we have this fun back and forth with Theo being very, very openly gay, but not to his wife and kids, and the instant kind of wonder of what do we do, or how do we deal with the fact that you have a whole family, but you want to be out and proud, but you have a whole ass family to let down and change their entire life. It's a fun one. It's a fun little dynamic. And, you know, Betsy and Carla, and Lisa, they've been fairly, like, stunted. They've not really done much in the last couple of weeks because they've had a very hectic start of the year, which has been fun. I like Carl Webster. Carl Webster is interesting. It's hard to necessarily know where he stands because he spends all his time flirting with Abby. He's found that Debbie has early onset dementia and is also trying to deal with the fact that he's losing his entire business in Germany. And he is a much more charming version of Kevin. He is a much more interesting figure, and it adds a bit of life into a pretty tired family all in all. Between him and Debbie, they are the most interesting thing happening on the show right now. And this is Debbie while she's going ahead and trying to organize a wedding and spare no expenses, or spare all expense, whatever. Just pay as much she humanly can. She's here for a short time, not a long time. Whatever the phrase is. I know I butchered that one. But in the same way, it's definitely manifesting in a pretty fun way. And I know people are still going to be quite upset about the fact that Debbie is going to die on our screens eventually. But still, I think people need to not get so down in the mud about it and recognize that, yes, it is a criminal shame that Debbie is dying on the show at some point, but fundamentally, it will be absolutely phenomenal. And it's very easy to still be upset and still be like, oh, it's so cruel. Why is this happening? Why is it happening? But if, hey, the actress agreed to it, everything's above board, everyone's professional. She is going to be probably one of the most revered soap actresses when this storyline completes, as we will see a full degradation of Debbie Webster and the family that's built around her. I genuinely believe this. This will be, and I've said this multiple times, the Debbie Webster dementia storyline will define this Kate Brooks era, whether it's in a good way or a bad way, but I'm 100% certain it will end in a good way. Like, storyline-wise, not like, or just like, it'll be well received. And then you continue to start to deal with Mick and Lou and Brody, which has continued now as Sean has been accosted for money, and Brody, who pretty much has been a run-of-the-mill standard thug, just like Mick, and he keeps threatening him for money. Sean steals from Julie's donation fund to try and pay Brody, but she couldn't do it, so Brody beats up Dylan, and we then find Sean beaten up and bruised from Mick, who is shown more of his darker side. And we finally do actually see Mick go to visit Brody in the STC, and this kind of makes it more and more finally we know who Brody's dad is, and finally we see it actually manifest. This is what Mick was brought here to do. Which, you know, say what you want about Mick, I don't think he's a very interesting character, but it is nice that he's actually doing something. Actually doing something on the show, rather than just being, you know, Mick the Dick. That's all he's doing. And as all these characters have generally taken center stage, I do believe it is kind of attributing to a much more interesting show. I will say, one thing that was really surprising about these previous iterations of the show is Sean has actually become a genuinely interesting character. And I never thought that would happen. I was an avid Sean hater for years and years. But turns out when you actually give him storylines and you actually let him act, he's actually quite a talented actor. He actually does quite a good job. And now that he actually has a purpose in Dylan, it genuinely has turned the character into an interesting one. I always joke that I thought that the actor had something over the ITV bosses or something. Like, why is he still here? But no, like, he has genuinely become a very interesting character, and I'm actually excited to see what happens next for Sean. I will say, I think it is finally time to actually have Sean settle down with someone and not just be the kind of Curly Watts, unlucky in love, not Curly Watts, the Raquel Watts, like, unlucky in love, never works out for her. Like, Sean can finally get a partner, methinks. I think it's about time that he actually gets a bit of happiness in his pretty bleak existence. But Sean reported Mick, and we saw him get taken away by Craig. And I think this will probably lead to... Honestly, I've had this whirring away in the back of my brain, but I am now starting to believe that Mick will be involved in the previously announced, and spoilers, Craig Tinker death on screen. I do think Mick will be involved in this, and I think Craig will maybe try and help, like, Gemma and Chesney. Maybe Mick's trying to enact revenge on Chesney, and Craig gets caught in the crossfire. Maybe, you know, however it may be, hit and run, something like that. Because it was teased that he was gonna go in the line of duty, and it was gonna be a rather heroic exit, or a rather underwhelming character, in the sense of both becoming a police officer was the blessing and the curse. When they had something for him to do, it was a really cool story and angle to get him to. But when it just became the entire character, it was the curse that has resulted in the character being tossed aside. It's both great in a way, and it's a disaster, because he probably could have stayed for much longer and probably could have been one of the, like, Craig kind of, one of the, probably could have been one of the Kirk type characters who sticks around and adds a bit of legitimacy to it. It is just a street with other people there. It's not just all the main characters. But at the end of the day, he didn't really bring much. And honestly, it seems like he just wanted to do literally anything else. I mean, he's had a pretty good run of it. He's, you know, he got on Celebrity Big Brother. You know, he's having a good time. He's having a good time. He seems like he just wants to, like, present stuff and do his podcast. So all the power to him. All the power to him. But it was a kind of fun one to get to. So I do think that Mick will probably be involved in some way, and that'll be how it escapes. And I think it's still an interesting one. And I will once again repeat and reiterate, let's hold off on Brody for now. I've been saying this for a while, and I still do genuinely believe that Brody will be a character to watch. But in its current form, there's nothing to get invested in because he is just a mindless thug, you know. That's all he is. But with time and the parent twist, I do think that he will start to acclimatize to the show, and he will be obviously out of the behavioral unit. And once he eventually stays with Kit and you know, through time, he will become a much more well-rounded character. And I do look forward to seeing how it takes shape. I genuinely believe that. I know he's done nothing in Coronation Street to suggest otherwise so far, but as someone who watched his entire Hollyoaks stint, I genuinely believe Brody is going to be one to watch, and I look forward to seeing it. I know people are probably got tired of me saying this, but still, I'll echo the sentiment. Give it a bit more time. And I think that's a general thing with this current version of Coronation Street. Like, ITVs, they're not even really looking at this year. They're looking at next year, and they're planning ahead like, okay, now we change how everything works. So I think that we do need to give it more time, and we want to see exactly how Kate Brooks wants to shape this era of the show. And a lot of the crime stuff, it has fallen to the wayside as well. A lot of it has been a bit more down to earth, grounded in family drama, rather than being the bill. So all in all, I think that it is cooking. I think it is getting better. It's still not perfect. There still are more bad things than good, but fundamentally, I'm starting to lean on the side that Coronation Street is gradually getting better. Now, tell me what you think about that in the comment section down below. I've been Ash from Watching Walford. Thank you for watching. Join me in the next one. See you then. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.